Okay, our next story is Storybird. Now, we saw in the Know Your Seafood site that they were able to lay out the story of their seafood as it went from the harvester to the processors and to their warehouse where they keep it frozen for sale and distribution through the US. Storybird was the software that they used to tell the story about their seafood. So what the Storybird software does is it goes into the blockchain and interprets the data to present it in user format so that you and I could then see the data from point to point to point, okay? That user data is what makes us feel good about buying from Know Your Seafood and paying those prices. And the Storybird is probably one of the big selling points on their website because people start feeling comfortable with where it's going. Now, I've seen software like Storybird on several sites. Like one site I saw it on was about diamonds and where they were coming from, where they were harvested, what vendors sold them along the way. I saw it for wines, so you could see what winery they came from, when the grapes were harvested, when they were put into the barrels and aged, and then when it was sold to the vendors to retail it out to you and me in the stores. So software like Storybird helps us to feel comfortable. And you'll see that this software, they've got quite a few different vendors here that you could go look at and see all of their uses of Storybird in how they have shared their product from person to person. So I think this is the greatest part of the whole reason why we deploy blockchain for business, so that this kind of information can get out to the public. The Food Trust software also, the blockchain, also allows stores to track backward to who they got the particular product that went into a particular store, so that there's a foodborne illness on any of that product, it's directly traceable to a farm rather than, oh, it came from California, so we're shutting down the entire romaine lettuce industry because romaine lettuce came from California that was bad, okay? Without a blockchain that could tell what farm it came from, you have to shut down everything. And it's a terrible, terrible waste of a lot of food in that situation. So here we look and we can see all of the Storybirds that they list here, and you could even click and show more. And of course they're going to do a little advertising piece on blockchains and see, what consumers really want. 86% of U.S. consumers believe brand transparency is more important than ever. And I think that bears truth simply because the foodborne illness issue, people want to know, is the food I'm buying at the store safe? So I will go ahead and take a 2-minute break to change to my next article and look for some questions all the way through both of the chat windows and see what we can find and answer before we start the next section.
My thing is, I just don't see blockchain being popular for everyone because I feel like some companies would rather not let people know where stuff is coming from.
Perhaps the market will start demanding that sort of transparency.
I agree very much with Paige's comment that the blockchain might not be popular with some companies because they just don't want you to know where their stuff's coming from. And really, I agree with that. And I agree with Esteban's comment right afterwards that says, the market will start demanding it. And yes, you and me and people who want transparency, want to make sure that our kids and our family and people that we care about, have safe food when they come over to eat at our table, or even when we go to eat at their table. We're going to have to demand that there's that kind of transparency involved. So
I guess my question is, how could you encourage more companies to get into the blockchain? Because I just feel like some won't want to be exposing themselves. People say they will stop shopping, but will they if it's convenient?
How could you encourage more companies to get into blockchain? I think it's just going to be customer demand. I know the government is forcing companies to do a lot of this kind of stuff. I don't particularly like the way, the government gets heavy-handed in forcing companies to do that. But there's always going to be those laggards who just are going to drag their feet and not want to give the transparency that the customers really need. And after a while, to be competitive in the market, they're just going to have to. They're just going to have to, frankly, give more transparency, or they're just going to eventually fall by the wayside.
I think it will be similar to the animal-friendly symbol or the organic label, but with even more transparency.
The organic label issue, I really like that comment there. Right now the organic label issue I take with a grain of salt, because it's just somebody putting a label on a package. If I was able to see a blockchain that actually showed how they got the organic label and didn't just sneak it under the rug there and get it out to the public with that label on it, I would have a lot more confidence in that kind of labeling if they had some proof to back it up, and not just this piece of paper stuck on a package.
We as the buyers have forced companies to stop testing on animals.
It was the buyers that stopped testing on animals? Absolutely. Cost or perceived value often wins out over quality. That is true at times. And part of the blockchain issue is perceived value. If there's transparency, there should be a better perceived value because you have more confidence. I have confidence so that I can go to that seafood place and buy good seafood because I can see where it came from. And some of that I'm sure could be faked. I'm sure there's going to be nefarious actors involved at times, but it's one step in the right direction anyway. And pessimistic or think people will always go for cheaper and convenience. It all depends on the income strata that you're in. People with more disposable income will be more discriminate with what they're spending their money and are willing to spend money on things that are expensive, but essentially the same product, because they're more confident in the supplier of it or the maker of that particular product. So, people won't always go cheaper, okay?